and a belated Happy New Year to everybody. Crikey, the time has flown. Christmas is gone. I do hope you enjoyed it. I'm terribly sorry that I haven't done the reviews that I'd wanted to do, but unfortunately with cancer and brain tumours it's kind of unpredictable as to what you can do. We've maintained our presence online with the group. I think we owed that to the members, but quite frankly we haven't been well enough to do the reviews justice, and therefore I've waited until I felt that I could. So without further ado, let's do a quick wristwatch check of the day. It's no different from the one I wore the last time, I believe, and that's the Tag F1. Nice little daily wearer. I don't like the term daily beater because I don't beat my wife. So on to the watch in hand, and the one I'm reviewing today is the one I've been raving about and actually gave it the prestigious in my mind because I'm very fussy, very fickle. The title of sub $200 dive watch of the year, and that's the Aquatico Aqua One. Now this has a 300-meter depth rating. It's absolutely gorgeous to look at, whichever angle, whichever shadow. I know that there's reflections, etc. that happens. I'm not a professional. So before I go on to talk about the watch briefly, I'll give you a quick tech spec. It has the, now what I feel, the generic and standard 316L stainless steel. That's vitally important to newcomers to the watch enthusiasm fraternity, because the higher the quality of steel, the more corrosion resistant it is and the longer it's going to last. So that's the reason why reviewers will often mention the 316L, or in certain cases 904. There actually happens to be a 316H, which people don't know about, but there's a finite difference. Now this sports an engine Seiko NH36. Now that's akin to a Ford engine. It will run all day. Not the best in the world, but certainly not the worst. It's used very, very widely by microbrands and, dare I say, macro brands, because of the fact that it is a workhorse. It's very, very reliable. It's got, I think, a 40-hour power reserve, which is not to be sniffed at. Now, other specifications with this: it's got sapphire crystal and AR coating inside, anti-reflective to you and I. The ceramic inlay with Superluminova BGW9 is absolutely sublime, and the lume on this overnight and in the depth, and I have tested it, it's absolutely gorgeous. It doesn't do what a Seiko does. Let's not kid ourselves. The Seiko, with the use of the lume pips, the large or enlarged lume pips, markers, whatever you wish to call them, they are pretty much generic to Seiko. But that doesn't stop the Aquatico from doing the job it needs to do, and that is give the diver, the wearer, the luminescent reflection it needs in the dark. The markers are incredibly bright. They are fantastically aesthetically pleasing, and that's what does it for me with this watch. And fit for purpose, which is the important part. Another feature I do like with regards to this is the fact it has a solid 316L bracelet with a dive buckle. Very, very important. A lot of bracelets have hollow ends anyway, that's for certain, and they tend to feel a bit tinny and, quite frankly, fragile. Now the case size on this is 42mm by 50mm by 12mm. It's absolutely perfect. It's got the little nuances of the laser engraving on the crown and my little pet, if I can get it showing, on the clasp. I love that. Little touches like that make the Aqua One what it is, and that is my sub $200 diver's watch of 2017 by a country mile. You could use that quite easily, and I'm trying to get rid of the reflections. It's not always easy when you don't have a professional shooting for you and you have different lighting, but look how aesthetically pleasing that is. The orange second hand, the indices, the logo of the little dolphin, the fine touch of the orange text and the fonts, absolutely perfect. It does the little touches of the laser engraved cross stamp at the back. That's of a dolphin again, and a lady, like a little mermaid. Absolutely gorgeous. Now there's not a lot you can say about this watch in a negative sense. The differences that somebody might notice with regards to a diver's watch and say, oh, Seiko is better, is because it's got a crown at 4 o'clock. That makes very little difference in the real world. And I've been in the military. I've needed to have diver's watches that are fit for purpose. Providing you have a crown guard, there is absolutely zero risk of this catching on your clothing and undoing, therefore letting in water. It doesn't happen. It's a bit of a gimmick when you put it at 4 o'clock. If you've got the protection there with the crown guard, you don't need it. So that's one myth dispelled. I don't criticize the 4 o'clock marker, I actually like it, but it's not absolutely necessary. Neither is the day date window, and I've said this about another watch previously. Do we really need a day date on a diver's watch? Can you see it in the depth? No, you can't. But as a few people have said on the group, it's still something that is essential if you want to know the day and the date. And because this is so aesthetically pleasing, you could wear this as a dress watch. You could wear it akin to the tag. You could wear it as a daily. It's that pleasing to the eye. So this one is a hybrid in many ways. It's cross-functional. It's not just a diver's watch of a very high caliber with regards to the specifications, certainly for the money anyway, but it's also so aesthetically pleasing that, unlike the Seiko, which I don't like the size of the lume pips on the markers of the Seiko. I think they're perfect for what they do with the diving function, but I find them rather ugly when it comes to being a dress watch or a functional watch, or function watch I should say. But that's just subjective, and I'll make an absolute point of that. It's down to a matter of taste. Would you prefer that, or would you prefer the large pip dials, such as, there we are, we've got one on the Casio, we've got one on a Sterling, we don't have one on a Wanscher that I'll be looking at in the coming weeks. But that's what sets this apart from other dive watches, is that it is compatible with different aspects of one's life. And for $200, it covers most bases. It allows you to wear something with pride, but also utilize it for the most demanding of tasks. Now, I have tested this to 180 meters. I've got my ways of doing things. It's called reservoirs and nipping out on a boat. I've had this for some months, and I do tend to test things. I won't talk off the top of my head. I won't have a watch for a day and then say, oh, hi there, here's what this watch can do. I'll actually test it. and if it doesn't do something it says it can, I'll speak with the manufacturers first. I'll let them know. I'll identify whether it's an individual fluke, incident, call it what you will, and retest. But this one has actually passed 180 meters, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm not that bothered of whether it can actually reach the 300 meter depth rating it gives itself. I don't have a need to go that far, but I suspect it probably could. But I would never bet my money on it. I would simply say be careful with any watch, even if it was COCS, if I get that right, COSC, certified. The certificate doesn't prove anything except that it's waterproof at a certain time it was tested. That can soon change, hence the crown guard and sometimes the 4 o'clock position to prevent that. Now, this ticks every box for me. I love the little orange, as I've said. I love the fonts. I love the use of colour, the beautifully deep, and you have to have one of these to appreciate it. It's an awful shame that they've sold out, because quite frankly this is an absolutely beautiful piece. And there's where I give a shout out to Calvin Lee, the producer and manufacturer of this wonderful brand. Why not re-release this model, even if on a limited edition? Give the public the chance to get one of these watches. They're absolutely fantastic for the price you pay. I wouldn't bat an eyelid paying $500 plus for something like this. It's a no-brainer. So, I've sung this watch's praises. I'm not going to harp on anymore. I'm going to give a big shout out to Clockers. I think they are a fantastic company. This little desktop folder stroke protection case is an absolute genius move. Ignore the subjectivity of whether you like the dial and function or not. The watch is very clever and it's patent protected, which is something I'll go on about at another stage. Big shout out to them. We've got a Gerlach and a Pont Vs and a Pandora's box of watches to catch up on with a review. I'm going to look at the Casio, I'm going to look at the Sterling, which pound for pound is my favourite watch of the decade, let alone 2017, and I'm going to look at a Wanscher, which is a brand that most of you probably won't have heard of, but it is an absolutely brilliant piece. So, I'm going to end the review by simply saying to you, remember that Just About Watches is in its entirety for the sole purpose of brain tumour and cancer research legacy. We join forces by numbers on our group and hopefully on the channel and certainly on the website that is very, very close to being launched. Thank heavens for that. I can't emphasize my gratitude to everybody who's joined hands in supporting what the Just About Watches group was set up for. Not just to enjoy beautifully new watches, a little more expensive watches, sometimes even simple cheap watches. I absolutely adore anything that goes tick-tock within reason. I will put a caveat in that I cannot stand replicas or fakes. That is a theft of intellectual property and I won't tolerate that. So whilst I say I do adore everything that goes tick-tock, there is that caveat that it has to legally go tick-tock, and even if it was a $5 watch, if it's legitimately produced, I will collect it. I'm a bit of a magpie like that. With the YouTube channel, it is embryonic. It will have plenty of reviews in due course. Have tolerance with me. Understand that it's not easy to deal with a brain tumour as well as looking after what is now, if you calculated the subgroups, we're probably the largest Facebook group of watch enthusiasts around, barring none. Everybody claims that. I'm not interested in numbers, to be honest about it. It's quality, not quantity, every day of the week. But please do Just About Watches a favour. Understand that everybody will get touched by cancer or brain tumours at some stage in their lives, whether it's you individually or whether it's one of your family or friends. And for that reason, understand that Just About Watches will never criticise other groups in any shape or form for whatever motive they have or reason for existence, for whatever choice of watch they like, brand they like, or the way they wish to enjoy the passion. We have a sole objective of using our enthusiasm as a collective to raise awareness, and it's doing that, and for that I can't thank you enough. Now, before I get all teary and gooey-eyed, I will say to you, I repeat my Happy New Year wishes. I hope that you all have a wonderful and prosperous New Year, and that you all stay well. I'll end with the bell so the dog will know he can come back in. Goodbye.